one is here, but I just decided to go on live versus creating a video so I could say hello to all of you and give you a brief update on where we are and how we're doing as the spring has sprung and flowers and plants have bloomed here in New England on the upper coast of the United States. We're on the East Coast. And so, as you can see, the giant hostas are, this is considered to be their, I'm going to say this one is medium and that one is still small. So these become really giant. They will fill up this entire space. I do have a few lilies, and also I'll show you the gladiolas that I planted that are hiding in here as well. So I came out and saw all of this, and it's a beautiful day. It is, a little bit overcast, and on occasion it's actually raining, but it's a beautiful spring rain, finally. We've had super chilly days out here. As you can see, the holly bush, we have two of them, is in its full regalia. And I tried planting gladiolas in pots this year. And there's also some calendula that I planted in here. That's what you see, the little seed buds coming up, and I have some in the other pot. So what I try to do is have the flowers grow in a succession so that there's always, throughout the entire summer, even up to early fall, there's always something blooming. And here we have our pink feather plant. There's several of these on the property and several of these bleeding heart plants. You can see there's some bleeding hearts on there. There's still some young shoots. So what happens with this is the flowers will come and go. And I don't know what this is called, but our neighbor who lives like around the way gave us the pink, green, and yellow version of this plant. And he is a horticulturist at one of the universities here. You can imagine, and you guys. Also, one of the things that encouraged me to make this video and just do it live, this beautiful miniature rose bush is stunning. I hope the color is coming across. It's bright, it's brilliant. As you can see, a lot of the buds are still tight and some are open a little bit more, and that's what happens with this plant as well, is flowers. This is maybe the second blooming of this plant, but you can also see there's a lot of young, tender things that are still happening. And this will do that, where it'll bloom and things will come and go until it gets like into the hot months. And then you'll just end up with these bright green leaves. Now, this is definitely a pollinator. I am allergic to bee stings. My EpiPen is in the house. And I think we have one in the vehicle, but there is a big, big, beautiful bumblebee. I don't know if I'm getting it on camera, but let's not fool around here. We don't want to get stung by anything. And then the blueberry bushes, they are doing amazing. And one of the things we might end up doing this season, because this is one of the blueberry patches, it's my absolute favorite because I can literally walk out of my front door. I'm walking, and pick the blueberries here from this patch for baking, for cereals, for whatever we want, snacks, you name it. And once again, blueberry plants are amazing pollinator plants because of the flowers. And even now, there's like bees in here, but obviously the flowers have gone and have been replaced by the little baby berry buds. So awesome. We have, as you know, thousands of purple bearded, ivory bearded, and yellow bearded irises that grow on the property. You can see the purple ones are starting to show their heads, and the other lighter color ones will do so later in the season. We have several plants and patches of lavender. Here is one. And this one actually planted itself here, so an animal or the wind or a bird apparently moved the seed at some point. I can't remember what this flower is that I planted here, but this is from seed as well. I started growing it last season. This season we have these leaves, and we'll see if the flowers will come in later. Let me see if I see any floor. Oh, I see some action down in the middle. So yeah, we'll probably have some flowers this season. Once again, I won't show you every plant, but usually when I plant the gladiolas, I put two, like I twin them up, hoping that they have babies. Does it work? I don't know. And yes, lilies are all over the place. They're nowhere near as tall as they're going to get. And in the very, very center, you can see that's where the buds will come out. The gay feathers are also coming out. These end up being really tall, beautiful, sort of dandyish type plants. And here you can see some of the pink feather flower plant, some of its little buds, and that indicates what color it will be. Obviously, hostas all over the place. And the peppermint patch that I've been fostering for the last, I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 seasons, is definitely every single year a little bit bigger. Look, peppermint has spread here, there, everywhere in this area. Now, the thing to know about peppermint plants or peppermint is that it can become very prolific. It can take over. So it's a plant that you do have to manage. And look, an animal has taken out one of our lilies. Let's throw it out into the yard and let it get remulched in. And what else? Oh, there's another. I'm sorry, that was an iris. There's a lily plant there. And also, oh, and you can see another bleeding heart plant with one little, let's see if we can get a close up on this bleeding heart right there. And then within here, you'll also see the cilantro is still coming through. It's been growing by itself every year, just like this peppermint. And I have them trying to live in harmony. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know. And yes, that needs a new tag. We have an animal that's been chomping the tops of these tags off, and we don't know what animal that is. Look at this gay feather plant. I love the gay feathers. The issue that we do have, though, with the gay feathers is that if you don't manage them with neem oil, that's NEEM, it's a natural oil that keeps bugs from eating up your plants, then these will be eaten to the ground before they ever flower. So we had rain the last, I'm going to say this is the third day of rain that we've had. So, and I don't remember what this plant is. You can see I even have the little tag there, but due to the rain, the snow, the seasons, it's faded, but you can see the little purple flowers on there. I planted that from seed. I plant almost everything from seed. Here's another giant bleeding heart plant. But yeah, you have to spray this neem oil, which actually works, on the plant to help it get through. But whenever it rains, obviously it washes right off. So I have to reapply it. So what I wait for is hoping that we have several days of no rain, and then I do a reapplication. Let's go out here and take a look at the berry bushes. And oh, here's our plum tree. Let's see if it has any plums on it. I know it does. I just don't know how big they are. Do you see any? If you do, point them out. We just saw some not long ago. Right now, I mean, unless I move leaves around, which I'm not doing. Oh, there are some right there. So you can see we have plums. But these, I think, are more ornamental than human consumptive. So we will not be consuming them. We never have consumed them before. Let's go over to the well first. Just check the well. And no, I won't take you around the entire property. That would take too long. Ooh, but look at this bearded iris, which looks like it's ready to bloom at any time. I love bearded irises. And looking at this mulch, I think we can make this a little bit neater, unless there's something tunneling underneath it, which is very possible. This is our new setup because the giant cross got blown over. And so we decided to go with a artichoke. It's supposed to look like an artichoke. I don't know if it does or not. But as you can see here, we have, once again, tons of purple bearded irises. We have gladiolas. We have patches of lavender, which are much smaller than they've been in the prior years because we had to disrupt this entire area to do this updated installation. And we added this loose stone. My husband hates this planter. I love it. I love that it's showing age, it's showing nature, character. And then we topped it with this, as I stated, which we used an adhesive, an industrial adhesive to, secure it to that. And it's also filled with stone so that it never blows over. And wow, let's see if we can get a close up on the bees without getting stung. Can we get a close up without being stung? Our daughter would have a fit if she knew I was this close to a bee, but the thing I do is I sort of embrace the fact that I have um, a potential of getting stung. They'll have to use my EpiPen. I'll have to go to the hospital. As long as I'm close enough to my EpiPen, I should be fine. Look at these oyster mushrooms. I was stung one time last season. Oyster mushrooms. I don't know enough about mushrooms to collect and consume them. I know that oyster mushrooms are consumable. Are those particular ones consumable? I don't know, but I would like to know more. And this year we were going to go morel mushroom hunting, but we never got a chance to because I was working the Met Ball. Oh, hi, you guys. Hi, Lance. How are you? Oh, it's too bad that you have to go, but I understand that friend is more of a friend. But there's a few of you here. If you could just say hello, that would be awesome. So this is our one of scale of how this thing is the size of a tree. This is one of them. And behind it, I'll show you the other one. This one, as you can see, gets this fuchsia sort of flower on it. It's very early in the season, so most of the pods. This, when it's fully crazy. It's so beautiful. Cut it down, and of course, just like Diana Ross, I'm the boss. So no, that wasn't going to happen. Once again, we have plenty of mushrooms here. I don't know what any like these are. I have zero ideas. So if you guys know what they are, let me know. And this is the other giant hydrangea bush, and this one isn't doing as well. I think that the fuchsia colored hydrangea bush is taking over. And as a matter of fact, if you look through, let's see if you can see it, there's some fuchsia like buds that are trying to come through. And this one, it still has buds on it, and it actually has a lot of buds on it. None of them have opened yet. Let's see, there's one. But you can tell by the bud, these will be ivory colored flowers. But also looking at the leaves, it's just not doing as well. And this has happened before. And what usually happens is one season, it does well. The next season, it's fighting for survival because it's fighting against the other bush. So here we have one of our maple trees. You can see the other hydrangea bush. Yes, so all of this landscaping going down, which we just call it the pile of junk, is ours as well. And you can see the giant tree that we had to have cut down because the roots are literally, or were lit. Oh, look, it's splitting. We're literally going into, like, going towards a direction of our house. So that is part of the route. If you come way over here, you can see these are all parts of the route. And look at where it was headed. So we had to get rid of it. Unfortunately, I literally cried and hugged it and apologized. And here we have another one of our holly bushes. We have a few of these on the property as well. And then we'll swing back over this way and go to the front. And how are you guys doing today? I see that there's like someone on here. If you could say hi, that would be awesome. Lance was here and had to go, but I just, like I said, this wasn't pre-planned or anything. So I'm happy that anyone is here. Do you guys garden? Are you into junk journaling, collecting buttons, antiques, vintage jewelry? Let me know what you like because I like a little bit of everything, including gardening. Today I planted, there's another bleeding heart plant. Like I said, we have a lot of these plants. And another, this one has more of a purplish, pinkish sort of flower for the feather flower plant. And today I planted some pumpkins because I'm like, why are we I grow, I garden. Why on earth are we going to purchase pumpkins when I can just grow them? So this year, hopefully we end up with, I'm going to say if I end up with like 3 or 4, that's great because I can give one to our daughter, my sister, and we can have a couple for ourselves. So the horticulturist that works at the local university, this is once again another plant that him and his wife gave me. And here, this is really weird that the lily plants are growing straight up through the giant hosta plant. And over here, I have some lilies. I have some gladiolas. And yes, this is out near the road, near the mailbox, and a repeat of some of the same plants over here. And then we have our trumpet flower bush, which is one of my favorites because the honeybees as well as the hummingbirds love these plants. So if you want to attract them naturally without using water and sugar, which are the only water and white sugar are the only substances that are safe with no colorants in them for hummingbirds. Even if you see them, those are not the same birds coming back if you use something else. However, if you plant a trumpet flower bush or a butterfly bush, you will naturally attract hummingbirds with no effort. And this is one of the giant bushes that we moved from the front of the house out here to the side of the road. I'm trying to create almost like a natural barrier here at the side of the road, not for any particular reason other than my garden beds are in this side yard. We have a backyard, a front yard, and two side yards, plus this forest that you see. I just saw an animal come out and I was like, what was that? Is also part of our land all the way down to, you can see the hilly parts back there. So being encased in plants and nature, that makes me happy. Now, something new that I learned about the peony plant is really important. So you'll see that there are ants on the peony plant buds. I did not know that that is something that's a symbiotic relationship that should happen in nature. What these ants are doing is they're eating any parasitical bugs, mites, or anything. And also, the buds, when you touch them with your hand, they're sticky. They produce a sugar, which is what attracts the ants in the first place. So I was spraying these with neem oil. I should not have been doing that, because doing that means that I'm taking away nature's natural way of protecting this flower plant. After the flowers open, which these are baby buds, and they're probably the size of, I'm going to say, a large hazelnut. But after these buds become gigantic, sort of like the size of a clementine or a tangerine, they will open and the ants just naturally go away because there's no more sugars for them. Then, if you need to spray them with a neem oil, you can do that. So, the more you know. And this little baby here is so pretty, and it's growing a little bit more. It's a second season out here. It's growing a little bit more every season, and I don't recall what it is. I have the tag in the house. And then let's go and look in these garden beds and see what's happening. So here we have a broccoli plant that our daughter gave me. And yeah, so like people are always like, they don't know what to get me because I'm like one of those people where I'm like, I don't want anything. And the things that I do want, I'm very specific about, such as they're antique or vintage and harder to find. And usually they're an accessory or something like that. So I just tell them plants and seed make me happy. So here we have this, believe it or not, these are corn plants that I just dropped into. I always have this miscellaneous area, sort of like I'm experimenting. So there's parsley in there, there's some Swiss chard in there, there's the corn, obviously. You see this broccoli plant. And in this section, I actually dedicated to corn, but I have these two plants which are growing, which I believe are lemon cucumber plants. Now, I'm going to let them grow a bit more to determine for sure what they are. Unfortunately, if they are lemon cucumber plants, either I will have to move them or I will have to just pull them out and like throw them out here in the yard to be mulched. And the reason for that is because they can be gigantic. I think I posted a video last season of how that I think I planted maybe 12 seed in this entire 6 foot by, I think this is 3.5 feet wide and approximately 3 feet tall garden bed. And it was completely, it took over everything that was in here, every single thing. So we had hundreds of lemon cucumbers, which was a good thing because, I mean, obviously great crop to grow because it actually works and it works really well. And of course, I grew it from seed, but this can become prolific. So the good thing is normally every year you have to replant it. However, I probably mulched and composted some of the actual fruit back into the bed, which is why we have a plant here and a plant there. So those were not on purpose. And then here we have 2 rows of yellow sweet melon. Now this yellow sweet melon, as everything else, and as you can see, was grown from seed as well. The story with this, though, is there's a pickup truck going by. Yeah, where I live, we have plenty of pickup trucks that'll go by. But the story with this is what I do is when I go to the grocery store, I'll go to the organic section and I'll go to the ethnic veg and fruit section to see if they have anything that's an old favorite or something new I want to try. That's where I got these seeds from. I actually purchased one just medium-sized yellow sweet melon. I don't remember. I want to say maybe it came from Colombia, but I'm not sure. And I purchased it from ShopRite. I harvested the seed, dried them out. I did not use them last season, but I used them this season. And look at how well these plants are doing. Their little seed shafts are falling off. I just hope they're not getting too much water because we've had a lot of rain. And you can even see some still have the little seed stuck on them. These will fall off by themselves. And what'll happen, I hope, is that this side of the bed will be dedicated to the melons. And then I will be able to take the vines and put them over the left, the right side, and out this way so that this side of the bed stays free of them. So unlike the lemon cucumbers, which grow up on a vine, and we have a trellis here, and they kind of grow all over the place. At least I should be able to control those. Here we have this trellis, which is going to have hopefully a ridiculous number of pea plants or snap peas or whatever they're called. They actually, you can even see their tendrils. They actually will reach to grow up over some sort of structure that they can climb on. And this side, they're actually doing better than that side because a chipmunk had dug a hole over on that side, and I put the cayenne pepper as well as some Scotch bonnet pepper. It's a pepper blend that I create. I dehydrate, I mill it, and that's what we use to get rid of pesky pests like that. So everything we do is humane. This is our American hazelnut tree, and it looks amazing. I did see that it had like some tiny little holes in the leaves a couple of weeks ago. So I sprayed it with neem oil. And guess what? It looks amazing now. It wasn't that bad then because I come out at least every day. If not, if it rains a lot or the weather is bad or we're traveling or something, obviously days go by. But I check one of the things, especially if you're a natural landscaper gardener like I am, then what you should do is check your plants almost daily because unlike chemical treated plants, just one day can make a difference as far as whether your plants live or die, and you have to attend to them sometimes by hand. So these little grassy looking bits that you see, those are carrots. Even under this cloche, there's some carrots that are growing. And I planted those, I want to say 4 or 5 days ago, and they've already germinated. And here, what appears to be little leaf bits are actually sage. And yes, you can see some of how when we have nuts, we will not while plants are growing. We throw these in here before the seeds are planted. Throughout, any time that we can throughout the season before planting season, just to add nitrogen to the soil. And also it's a good way to add some drainage versus adding rocks or stone. Yes, wine corks are something that you can put into you need to break them up into pieces, of course, or if you are composting, you could break them down that way as well. But yep, those can go in there too. And these 2, 3 bell pepper plants, and you can see flowers. I don't think this one has any flowers. Nope, not yet. And I have them in these cloches because we expected hail, and I kind of want to preserve those because those were a gift again from our daughter. So the cloches will do that. As you can see, these are open wire cloches. The lids actually come off of these, or obviously, if you're expecting hail, they should have lids on them. And I will take those off soon because I hope that the worst of our weather is over for the. I also planted garlic in here. Now, as far as being in zone 6A, zone 6B, one of the things that we encounter is the almost, I'm going to say almost, inability to grow garlic bulbs that are big enough to harvest, because you can get little ones, or onion bulbs that are big enough to harvest. And I'm talking about like a yellow onion, a white onion, like the red onion, the bigger onions. Like we can grow the little micro onion, which you could pull up the whole plant, clean it, remove the roots. You can saute it, cut it up, whatever. It's delicious. However, as far as growing garlic and onion as a full-size plant, that always seems to be an issue. But the thing that most people don't realize is that the green part at the top is just as tasty and fragrant as the bulb is itself, in some cases even more. So what I do when I go to Trader Joe's and purchase my organic garlic is I simply keep like 1 clove. I actually usually keep it for maybe 2 weeks or so, maybe even longer sometimes. And then I break it up into the little pieces, and I stick those in the ground with the rough part down in the ground, the pointy parts pointing up to the sky. And within, I'm going to say, a week or two, you end up with all of these fronds, and you can actually pick and eat these right now, cut them up, put them in salads, whatever. I'm going to wait until these are much larger. They'll probably end up being about maybe close to 2.5 feet tall. And then what I'm going to start doing is just cutting them down to the ground. And then what will happen is every single season, they will grow back by themselves. So that'll be a permanent plant. And you can also pull them up and transplant them in other areas, which I'm probably going to take all of these. There's some here. There's some that are hiding in the radish patch here. So you can see the radishes. And I probably will create this area as permanent for them. But for this season, yep, I just put them in between the rows. Just because you have a row of food here, a row of food there, doesn't mean you can't plant in between. And as you guys can see, I believe in what we call crowd planting. I've always done it for decades. Yes, believe it or not, I can say the word decades. And it has never failed me. Here we have arugula, and I actually decided to do an earlier little bit of arugula. And then you could see these younger arugula plants growing on the left and right side of that, because these just didn't seem, I think I planted the seed too early. So some of the plants did well in coming up and others did not. And there's a resident spider, and I don't do spiders. So let's go back here. Our impatiens are not impatient at all. We have literally thousands of these flowers that will grow. Hiding in here, though, we also have the hyacinth, which we brought from another property that we owned several towns away, because we just wanted a piece of that here with us. Yes, more lilies. Well, lilies, bearded irises, this beautiful burgundy box plant or box bush. I just love the color of this. It's another one that we transplanted from the front of the house. You don't always need flowers for color. And here is one of our daffodil patches, as well as you can see, more gladiolas. And within here, yes, you guys, there's arugula. There's some Swiss chard. That's what all these teeny tiny little green plants are. And what I did, and it's just something I like to do when, as a crowd grower, is I will just rake that ground up, throw that seed down there, put 1.5 to 2 inches of dirt on top, and let nature take its course. And as you can see, the beautiful dogwood tree is doing amazingly. And it is growing all the way up to Mother Nature's heaven. And this will be laden. You can already see some of the baby berries in there, but this will be laden with berries. And as I've spoken about in previous videos, most people don't know that those berries can be harvested. You can make wine out of them. It'll be hard to get, a lot of wine out of them without having thousands of berries, but you can do it. You can also suck the nectar out and just don't eat the seed. So the seed is really hard and will break your teeth probably if you have natural teeth like I do. And then we have, which I decided, I think like these have been growing for 2 or 3. See, this one I think is a 3 season. That's a 2 season. And that's a 2 season. Yes, dogwood trees. I'm growing one for my sister and one for my friend of over, I won't say how many decades, but many decades. I almost said it. And then this one, I guess I'm going to call it my backup plant if I need it. But over here, we also have, and those are growing simply from the seed falling on the ground here. Like this ground will be littered with fruit. The animals will come from the forest and they will be very happy enjoying the fruits of the labor here. That's why we put wire underneath the storage house and stuff to keep stuff from hibernating. But yeah, they'll be full right up until the probably first snow. So when these seeds fell in the past, I used to pull the plant, the trees up. Now, because I am growing these on purpose, we're not doing that. Also, there's a place on our property, there might be 2 places where we want to put 2 more of these trees. So we're just going to let them go. And they've been doing really well. These are the ornamental irises, or we call them the oriental irises. So pretty. A teeny tiny sprig of sage over there, not doing as well. More impatiens, who are very patient. And if we go over here, you will see, yes, many more giant hostas, more feather plants. And this is a trumpet bush that is my absolute favorite. We used to, where the roost is, which is what we call this building, which is totally a building just for relaxation, fun, having tea, sitting out here communing with nature. I'll take you in there in a future video. But there's that's where we used to have a trumpet bush that was literally probably the length of that building, and it went out probably 5 or 6 feet. It was huge. Unfortunately, in order to put this decking in for the building and to put the building in, the bush had to be destroyed. I was so sad about it, but it had to be done, and I'm a realistic, understanding person. Nature heard my cries. I didn't literally cry, but you know what I mean, like figuratively. And within 2 seasons, I didn't know what the green leaves were that were growing from under the side of the deck. And lo and behold, 2 seasons later, here we are with this big, beautiful trumpet bush. And this bush is the absolute favorite, next to the butterfly bush I'll show you in a moment, of the hummingbirds. It is every single morning. There's like 5 or 6 of them buzzing around this bush. We sit like right there in the breakfast nook, having our, morning libations, and we're just looking at these birds. And they mostly, which is kind of weird to me, they like being more on this side of the deck than they do on the other side of the deck. And there's not as many branches coming through on this side. But thankfully, I had the forethought not to cut these branches off and to let them grow through. And I actually pulled like these two down here through because they were growing over on the steps. And yeah, so now we have these, this beautiful gift of nature. This stone was given to us by our friend Rolly. So we made a step out of it. And as you can see, we have plenty of ferns. A lot of people would cut these ferns down. I'm like, why? First of all, when they're curled really tight, you can actually consume them. They have to be curled really tight, very, very beginning of the season. They're called fiddle something. Fiddle something. I can't remember what they're called. But know your plants. Don't listen to me and don't do anything I said. And this is another plant that was given to us by the horticulturist neighbor of ours who's from around the way, around the corner, sort of. And then over here, we have an explosion of basil. As a matter of fact, the basil sign will be completely covered up within, probably a week. But we've had this basil, I think it presented itself for harvesting the first time maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe even 4 weeks ago. I've harvested from this like 3 or 4 times already, like a heavy, heavy harvest. Dehydrated, put the basil in the jars so that I can give it away to friends, neighbors, family, as well as we use it ourselves, of course. But as you can see, this is a permanent area for the basil. I decided just let it go. As a matter of fact, it's coming out of the garden bed, and that the reason for that is when this plant grows, if you don't harvest it the very, very first time before it produces flowers, those flowers produce seed, which fall. They get blown about by the wind. Animals carry them, etc. Birds, all of that. Then what will happen is wherever they fall, they will start to grow. So that's what I allowed to happen on purpose because we use so much basil and it is such a requested item from family, friends, and neighbors. I let folks come over here and harvest themselves. I give them what I have dehydrated and put into jars for them. There's also impatiens, which are those gorgeous yellow flowers growing here. So think about it. If plants can grow symbiotically together, why can't we as humans, regardless of who or where we came from versus what we're kind of going through right now, which is a nightmare. But anyway, you'll see that is basil. Those are impatiens. Basil and patience. Like they're just all living together in harmony. So we're letting this entire area just be dedicated to that. And it looks amazing. As you can see, there's like what other plants are growing in here. There's a little bit of that horsetail that's growing right there. Supposedly, this is a medicinal plant that goes back thousands of years. So American Indian type stuff. And I would have to do a lot more research on it before I trusted myself to harvest it and use it for anything. But that's what's happening there. And then I won't take you to the other side because the only thing happening on the other side is I'm growing a patch of wildflowers in one of the raised garden beds. And it is doing amazingly, but everything is just a tiny, tiny green bud right now. Like there's no flowers that have presented themselves. So as you can see, I love looking at this view through the woods. It's so pretty. And we have our resident fox that lives here in the woods. Unfortunately, he or she, I don't know if it's male or female. Every year we hear like the sound that sounds like, this sounds terrible when I say it, you guys, but it almost sounds like a female is being murdered. I know that's like so bad, but it does. But those are actually, or multiple females, those are the sounds of the kits or the little puppies. So we know that every season that fox is coming back here, its relatives are coming back here to take shelter in our woods. And we have one of the cameras right there to catch the action of the wildlife. So far, we've seen a fisher cat, the deer, the turkey, the fox, one coyote, which we are not sure if that coyote comes and goes every season. Also, I think it's called a bobcat. Um, our town is, I mean, there's moose that live in this town. They're elusive, as they should be. Obviously, we have, which we haven't seen on camera, of course, but even just walking here, I have to be aware, but the temperature is not right yet for snakes because we do have snakes. Um, so I just love living in an area that has so much biodiversity that even though we as humans have encroached upon this land, there's still, healthiness to it, because if it was unhealthy, these animals would not be here. We haven't seen them yet, but there are plenty of black bears that live in this town as well. Our neighbors, half a mile, 5 seconds away from us with a brisk walk, have seen them. When we had the trees cut down, we had, I want to say it was 5 or 6 really huge trees cut down. We had the tree company put the tree remnants back here. This is sort of like, this is not even sort of, this is definitely downhill into our woods. And it's amazing how I could see one of the trees. You see that one, this one that's right there. It's amazing how quickly these trees have broken down. And then some of them are covered up, obviously, by all of this, the trees, the leaves, the ferns. Our little doggie is buried down there. So she went back to nature several years ago. And we're still super sad. And I still think about we had another dog, Velvet, before Maya. And those dogs were like my best little friends, and technically my first kids. We only have one daughter, but she knows that those were her sisters. So that was fun. But I really appreciate you guys taking this little walk with me and taking a look at some of the stuff that's happening here in New England, on the upper East Coast of the country, in Zone 6A, technically is where I am, but they also changed our zoning so that it includes 6B. I'm not sure which part of the state would be considered the 6B part, so I say Zone 6A and Zone 6B. But thank you guys for joining me. Please say hi below. Thank you, Lance, for coming in and leaving several comments. I really appreciate that. Thank you to all of you who left a thumbs up. Um, if you're just looking for something peaceful in the background to listen to or look at, hopefully you'll use this video. Take care.